Hello, welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. We're back. Happy New Year to everybody that's watching. About 25 people live right now. Appreciate you guys' support. Hopefully, everyone had a wonderful Christmas and a New Year with your families and your loved ones. A lot of ever-changing news, rumors, rumor mill for Orlando City. There's actually maybe actual news happening. We'll see, and then also we'll take all your questions today. I know that this is the first live stream that we're doing of the year. I'm here with, as always, with John. John, my friend, how are you? Good to see you again. Happy New Year.
It's 2025, man. The
No,
season
man,
is
it's crazy.
officially under. We're no longer in 2024, Louise. That season is behind us.
Yep.
Now we are here, ready to talk 2025 and everything that's going to happen in Orlando City. Not a lot so far, but
Yeah.
I'm not worried, and I don't think anybody else should be worried either. We just got to have a little patience.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a lot of rumors happening, and I think the very first one that was brewing, and this was before the end of the year, was the one for that Honduran striker, Luis. I forgot his name. Luis Palma, I believe.
Luis Palma, yeah, nothing, no developments on Luis Palma, so probably
Yeah.
just a rumor.
So I think I think that's dead. Plus, I truly feel, honestly, if you ask me, John, that I don't think he is a suitable replacement for Facu Torres.
Yeah, I mean, Celtic reporting that they are willing to listen to offers of 3.3 million pounds for him. I don't see us paying that much for Luis Palma, so I think yeah, they're asking a little bit too much, but I don't
Yeah.
think I don't it could have been one of those things like Luis. It happens all the time. Like we say, oh, MLS clubs interested, and then they just pick any NMLS clubs that they're interested in, like it happens a lot. So that one definitely seems like it was a rumor.
And now, I do want to say, I mean, people are yearning for news since the year ended. And so I do want to be clear. We're posting all the news as we see it. And I try personally myself to confirm that that reporter that said those news exists before putting it out. And like whether people like it or not, because it's funny, because I've seen a lot of stuff online. We put stuff out, and so one side of the poll says, hey, yeah, we need news, and the other side, when we put the news out, they're like, oh, I only Bogart, only Fabrizio Romano. Like, come on, man. So it's either you want, you know you want this, or you want that. You cannot have both. You know what I mean? So we're putting out the news as we see them. Some of them we truly believe that are just rumors, and some of it, hopefully, it may be something true that may come out of it. Now, um, the second one, I believe it was the one you posted, John, about Sendejas, right, from America, Club America.
Well, there's a little bit more before that. And also first
Okay.
I wanted to say hi to everybody. Please
Yeah,
drop
subscribe.
your comments in the chat. If you have any questions for us, we will get to your questions throughout. This is a great pod. If you're like, yo, I want to ask John or Louise something,
Yep.
drop it in because we're going to talk through the rumors and stuff, but there's not an endless amount of news. So we definitely have time to answer all of your guys' questions
Yeah.
at the moment. So please do that. If you're on Facebook, sorry, if you're on
X.
YouTube, please go ahead and like the video for us. And if you're on X, please go ahead and like the video and also repost the video, because the more you repost it, the more people will see it, the more we'll get people in the chat having conversations with us. I'm all about growing Loud and Proud Orlando this year in 2025.
Yeah, for
And me
sure.
and me and Luis need your help to do that. So every time you drop a like, every time you repost us, every time you're here in the chat communicating with us, we appreciate it so much because that really helps us grow and helps get more people. So if you could do that for us, we would appreciate it a lot. But going back to what you were saying, Luis, I want to show you here. We posted, this was after we did the pod. You posted about On Loud and Proud Orlando. The fact that there's a rumor
Oh,
concerning
Cesar.
an exit. So this not being a player coming
Right.
in, this being a player going out. I'll just make this a little bigger. There was a rumor going on that Cesar was potentially looking at going back to Nacional in his hometown. I mean, his home country of Uruguay. I know, Luis, you spoke to some sources down in Uruguay to kind of talk
Mhm.
about this, and I'll let you speak to it in a second. But I initially was like, why would Cesar want to go to Europe? Like, not in a mean way, but like it's a step back, right?
It is
Even
a step
for
back for
Nacional,
sure.
it's a
Yeah.
big step back
Yeah.
for him. So I didn't really think this one had much legs to it, apart from the fact that obviously he is from Uruguay, so maybe there's always that factor that players might want to be in their home country. They might want to be closer to their family. What did you hear about this one, Luis, from some sources down in Uruguay?
So this is a journalist that it's one of the big outlets there in Uruguay, and so it's a pretty big radio station. Now you have to understand, you have to take it with a grain of salt. They pretty much are saying that he's open to come back to Uruguay for family reasons more than anything. Um, Also playing, in the biggest club in Uruguay, or one of the biggest clubs in Uruguay, because he comes from a smaller club, and that will kind of showcase him more for the national team. He feels, because as Bielsa doesn't like the MLS very much. So there's a lot of pros that are going for possibly Cesar thinking about it. Now the thing is, Nacional, and the truth of it is he's still under contract with Orlando City, so he's gonna have to pay up Orlando. They're gonna have to pay up Orlando quite hefty lump sum of money, and I truly, and this is with all due respect to people from Uruguay and Nacional. I don't think Nacional has the money to pay up. Now I may be incorrect, but even if, let's say, they pull this off and they pay, let's say, whatever's left on his contract plus another milli, let's say it's gonna, over there in South America, gonna say, why are you paying so much for an MLS player, especially a player that comes from a small club in Uruguay. And so
And also, why would you pay so much for a defensive mid that, like,
correct.
he does a great job, but you spend that kind of money if you're like on a 10 or a 9 or a winger, like they're
Right.
not going to spend that much money
Right.
on a defensive mid. Also, they a lot of time we talk about their contract being up, but really we know that we have extension years. So it's really like, okay, yeah, his contract is up in 25, but we have him under like extension years for several years after that. So it's not like he's in the last year of his contract. Sometimes I think foreign teams look at that, Luis, and they say, "Oh, look, he's in the last year of his contract." But because we have these options in MLS, he's never really out of contract. So I think this one, Louise. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's
this
it's
was
more of like a
this.
no to me.
Yeah, this was December 31st,
Yeah.
and we've heard nothing more on it. So I think this one probably again
Yeah, to me
just
it's
a
just
rumor, unless
it's a
it comes
rumor.
back up. But I don't. I think for all the reasons we talked
Yeah.
about, probably not true.
Yeah, so for me, that this is to me. I mean, I respect people from Ovacion, Uruguay, and they're great guys, and they have, they get the sources, but also you have to understand, mm, clubs, agents manipulate information to purpose to possibly try to seek to get a little bit of a payday too. So it's part of the game. My job is just to put it out there for the Orlando City community to look and see. And then obviously here at the pod, we're just telling what we truly believe, that this rumor is probably not going anywhere. So, so, so yeah. So I completely agree with you there, John. I don't think it's going anywhere there.
Do you want to read a few comments before we move
Sure.
on?
Let's read some comments real quick. So Facu Torres, 1017. I think signing James would be great, even just as a statement, because right now we don't really have any player that is widely known right now. Also, he's a free agent, so what is there to what is there to lose? We'll talk about it in just a moment. It says David Albury, what's up? Happy New Year! Thank you, Mr. David. Appreciate it. Joshua Tall Solari to Orlando City. We'll see. He says, hope you guys had a good Christmas and good New Year. Saludos, compadres. Stream Jesus. It says the dynamic Uno. It says, I think James is past in his prime. All right, past his prime. Thank you. Stream Jesus, hi boys. Facundo Torres says, I have proof I'm not a real Facu. He doesn't speak English. There you go. And Salty H2O. Hi, vamos Orlando. Thank you so much, Salty. Appreciate it. So, so after these rumors for Araujo that are probably not going to lead to nowhere, then we had this that you put out about Ignacio Sosa, right?
Yeah. This one was really interesting because this was posted by, Rodri Vasquez, again,
Another
somebody out of
Uruguayan guy.
South America, Uruguayan, you know, take them all with a pinch of salt. This one we posted, this was December 26th. He was talking about the fact that we have got a loan bid with option to purchase on a player for Ignacio Sosa, but it was rejected. He's a Peñarol player. It would have made sense. But what was really interesting on this one was after it got posted, Ricardo, so our VP of soccer operations, a technical director, actually posted directly on this saying not true. Like that's all he posted. It was just
Yeah.
not true. So clearly this one was not true. I did ask, was it all not true or is it just some of it? But I think it was one of these situations where another rumor coming out that's clearly not correct, doesn't have any information. But nice to see a member of the soccer operations team coming out and telling us directly, no, this one, this is just not true. So I don't think there was ever a chance of us ever a bid for Ignacio Sosa, despite it being reported.
No, it's a player with a lot of upside. I'm not gonna lie. It's a young player, but it's a defensive mid. So again, it's a player with a lot of upside. It's kind of like a player that Orlando City would sign. But you have to understand the money in the region, in the Americas, the money it's in the MLS and the MX. So a lot of clubs down south are always going to be like, "Hey, there's MLS clubs," that So some of them say what clubs. Some of them don't say nothing. They just said they're being targeted by MLS clubs. So it just depends on where and also agents use that as leverage too. So, hey, you want Ignacio Sosa? Well, look, we have Orlando, we have Cincinnati, we have DC, you know, and so that's how they start.
Yeah.
It's just part of the game. Now, do I think Ignacio Sosa is a player that I would sign? Of course, but I wouldn't really pay out of this world money,
Yeah.
for him,
And the reason we go back and look at these guys, that like these rumors, the one about Cesar leaving, the one about Ignacio Sosa, is because it's important for us to go like, okay, we want to report what other people are reporting,
Right.
but you can clearly see here it's two things that have been said, two things that are probably not true
Well, not
or were
true.
ever true, right? So we kind of show you guys there's so much being talked about out there, but how much of that actually has any foundation in reality? I would say 20-30% of what we hear
Correct.
actually has any substance and goes somewhere. So it's about knowing, what was something and what was nothing. Now,
Also, it's better to address it here, in which you guys can comment and engage with us, and have a discussion, rather than tweeting back and forth like, So I just think it's better, and I think we just kill it all in one go.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, when you hear these things, your mind starts going, start asking all these questions, and like, there's so much that goes into it. But sometimes we're all asking questions about something that was never true to begin with. So
That's true.
it's just interesting, and we try to find out the truth here for you guys and figure it out because we want to know too, just like you do. One that we should move on to, Luis, and talk about. This one I do think there was some truth to this because it was obviously reported by Tom Bogert and Give
Yeah,
Me Sport.
for sure.
In the fact that, according to Give Me Sport, Orlando City had a bid rejected for Club America for U.S. men's national team winger Alejandro Zendejas. Zendejas is a Mexican American. If you don't know
Right.
him, he has been on the U.S. men's national team. He is a FC Dallas product and worked with Oscar there at when Oscar was running the Dallas Academy. So definitely some connections there. They cited the fact that the bid was rejected because the Club America coach was being attempted to be poached by Botafogo. So Botafogo, the Brazilian side, were approaching. Jardim was his name. Is
They're
the
the
Club America coach. Since then, there have been reports that that has fallen through and that Jardim is not going to be leaving and it will be staying with Club America. So, they talked about in the article the fact that the reason our bid for Zendejas fell through was because they weren't willing to talk about it while their manager was being, under conversations potentially to leave them. It's very common in soccer, in world football. When your coach is halfway out the door, you don't want to have discussions, you don't want to make trades, whatever. So now that has been resolved, according to several reports, and what Jardim has actually said in a press conference with Club America, potentially we could go back in for him. I want to get your thoughts a little bit, Luis, before I talk about a rumor around how much potentially we offered, which is, again, was not in Tom's article. So just a rumor, in my opinion.
well, people are saying that it's between 12 million and 13 million. Now these are Marca.mx. Marca is Dario Marca from Spain, but they have a Marca Mexico, right? Also 2DN, a lot of the big outlets saying is about in the 12 million mark. Yeah, 12 million right there. So honestly, okay, so this is gonna, to me, he's a player with a lot of great upside, but he's a player that is also has been very hot for a long time and also very cold. We already have a lot of that in Orlando City. Some of our players tend to go super hot and then sometimes super cold. Paying 12 million, almost what we got from Faku for a player like, and not only that, it's like it's not even name recognizable. Um, I feel, and plus you have to understand, in my opinion, Liga MX players are overvalued, and that's the reason why you see not so many Liga MX players in Europe leaving to Europe because they're so overvalued. And in Europe they just rather poach an American player that speaks the language and is ready to perform, and it's like 30% or 40% cheaper than getting somebody from Liga MX. So I feel Orlando, if they were gonna go for that, if this is true, it's overpaying for Sendejas, in my opinion. And also, he's a little bit of a hothead. You know what I mean? He's known for, he kind of almost fought Edson Alvarez one time when he played with the U.S. men's national
He's
team.
not. He's
So
not chill.
yeah, so he's a little bit, now. We've never had to handle that type of attitude before. I guess maybe with Kyle Aaron here and there back in the day, but it's just, I think people want somebody that's going to make an immediate impact. And yeah, he could definitely make an immediate impact, but I mean, he could have 4 games doing great and then the rest of half the season completely cold. And then, we just got stuck with a $12 million bill that we have to pay now. So I think with Faku leaving, you have to bring a player that's going to make an immediate impact in the squad, like from the get go. So I don't
The
know.
this is my thing on this is I got this from Total Football, which you can see
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
is a
It's a
big outlet,
really big outlet.
but
Yeah.
they talk about this 12 million being, the source of which is Tom Bogart's Give Me Sport article. Now, in that article, there is no mention of 12 million or any figure that we have
Right,
offered
right, right.
for Zendejas. And he also talks about reporting the fact that Mexican players apparently are, not open for sale according to him. And what Club America are like, no, we're not interested in selling our Mexican players,
Especially
of
to the
which,
MLS.
yeah, right, of which he is a Mexican American player, so he would be under that.
No,
So this is very confusing. I think you're totally right. I don't think we ever offered 12 million. I think
yeah,
that has got to be wrong
yeah,
based on the fact that he transferred to Club America in 2022 for 3 million.
yeah. That's
He's
not fair.
done well for them, but
There's
there's
no effort
no
in it.
way he's
There's
worth
no way.
12 million now. So I don't think we ever offered this. I think this is probably, I don't know where this report came
Make
from,
believe.
but that seems like a made up number and a bad made up number in my opinion. So maybe we offered like 5 million.
Yeah, but this
I
is the
could see
reason why.
that.
Yeah, and what I really don't like was Mexican press, and I'm gonna say it now because we have the platform. I didn't like the way they started poking fun of the MLS.
Oh yeah.
America just turned down a $12 million offer. Turn it down, man. Turn it
Well,
down.
maybe
It's,
maybe that's why it comes out is because like it's like, oh, look how
like,
much our players are
look,
valued if they're going to
come
offer
on.
12
Get,
million. It's like,
get a
well,
grip. People are
I,
not stupid.
yeah,
People are
I
not
just don't think it
stupid.
ever happened. The reports that Jardine and Botafogo have broken down, that is true. That has been confirmed. So, like I said, I don't know if we're going to go back in for Zendejas. Tom Bogert was reporting originally in
I'll
that
pay five.
article that we're going to move on because they're just,
Yeah,
they didn't want to play ball at all.
of
They don't have
course.
a manager, whatever. They were like, we don't want to talk. And, in that situation, often they go to the next player on the list. So this might be dead. We might not go back in for Sendejas, but it does seem like there was an offer made. That the fact that Tom has reported it, that for sure we know. How much it was, we have no idea, but I'm pretty sure it was not $12 million.
Yeah. Plus, Club America wants to go for the four-peat, right? So they want to go for the four-peat. Let them go for the four-peat. I mean, literally, they're the richest team in Mexico, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think they're a fantastic club. I have much respect for Club America, but I just feel like it's overvalued. It just doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. And as you know, John, year after year, Orlando has made conscious decisions of signing players that are low key and then they pay off high dividends. Like
Yeah.
like you're seeing in Ojeda right now, you're seeing it in Angulo right now. You're seeing it in Duncan. His selection and all of that. So I think those are the type of players that we are actually targeting. Sendejas could have been that way because of the closeness with Oscar,
Yeah.
but I just think he's 12 million. I wouldn't pay.
No, I think even for 5 million, he's probably not worth it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's you're talking about like, I think it's the right profile of player. I
hmm
think a winger who's 26 years old
for sure.
who can
In his
play
prime.
in his prime.
Yep.
I think it's the right idea.
Correct.
I don't think the value is there for if you could get Zendejas for a couple million and he's a TAM player who's part of the squad as an option, great. But to put all your eggs in that basket, I don't think it's smart. The guy has only ever scored like the highest he scored was 11 goals in 34 appearances back in 22-23. Like, yeah, he's on the team, but he's not the one killing it for Club America. He's a part player for them. We'll see if we go back in for him, but I think probably
Yeah.
this one's
Mm.
dead and we've moved on to other things. Um, Talking of other things, Luis, do you want to go through the latest rumor that just came out today?
Yeah.
And
Let me.
rumor being the important word here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so, right here. Let me. Oh, you already
I
pulled it
got
up.
I
You already
got it
pulled it
for
up.
you.
Okay. Yeah, so Franco Abatino is a journalist in Argentina, and he also covers for Red Gold Chile. Red Gold is a really big outlet in Chile. I have a couple of friends that are from Red Gold. Now you have to understand because I have another pod in South America. I kind of have connections a lot in South America, so that's why you see a lot of my stuff from South America more than anything. Um, so Pablo Solari is a player that it's a really good player in River Plate. One of the best wingers they have. I think they're their best winger. River Plate's a massive club in South America, one of the most prestigious clubs, aside of kind of on the level of a Flamengo, you know. And he's a starter there, 10 goals, 5 assists last season. He came from the Chilean league from Colo Colo. So his rights, River owns 60% of them. Talleres, which is a smaller club in Argentina, who was he was actually from their academy, gets a 20%, and then Colo Colo gets another 20% of a potential sale. So River paid 4.5 million for him, to go from Chile to Argentina, and he's been killing it. He's shown interest of really not continuing to River Plate. He's definitely not going to continue in River Plate, according to the source. And so at first, according to Red Goal, they said that there were two Russian clubs, Krasnodar and Spartak Moscow. They were targeting him, offering all this big money. But the problem with that is that they still have that ban going on, and there's really no. I mean, he'll be going there for the money, not to showcase anything that he can do. And so then two MLS teams, according to the source, are targeting the player, and then they mention Orlando City and Inter Miami, right? And so um, now River wants to make up the money that they paid for the player, so they want at least 10 million, according to the source. Now I've confirmed the information with Frank Abatino, which I want to say hello to him if he's listening or watching. But I just got news from the club sources, that they are not looking for Pablo Solari. Like, they completely said this is something that it's a rumor from Argentina probably, or Chile, but it's a lot of people are mentioning Pablo Solari. Maybe they want to have Pablo Solari come to the MLS, but they want to kind of play the high bidder game. And they're using Inter, they're using Orlando for that purpose, but it's not they deny this rumor. And I want to say it today live. Club sources said that, and I appreciate the club for saying that, and letting us know. I think it's great for the public to definitely know, and that's the reason why we put this out. Because we want to make sure that you are you truly are in the loop of this, because I think it's on the interest of the whole community. So, but yeah, so this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, Pablo Solari is a phenomenal player. I mean, I would love to have Pablo Solari in the team, of course. 10 goals, 5 assists in a big, massive club like River Plate in Argentina, of course. It's a winning team. It's a team that always plays finals, is always right there. Um, but you know, it's dead, essentially. That's what pretty much what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think it shows it's classic, and I agree. Of like what's happening is we're getting in the rumor cycle of like clubs that are like interesting, which is good. It means that
Yeah,
they're
it's
thinking about
fantastic.
us.
Is
Like
People are
art,
thinking of us of a good club to go to.
right? Like any Argentine player right now coming out of Argentina and is like potentially going to go somewhere, they're gonna link them with Inter Miami. It's gonna happen just based on all of the players that they have and everything that's going on. But we're also getting thrown in there like with that as well. So it seems to me, Luis, like based on the fact what we've heard from the source of the club saying this
Yeah,
is not true.
yeah,
Clearly, it shows that, right, was it true with the Russian clubs? How much is this being
yeah,
driven by the agent and the club being like, hey, there's interest from these clubs trying to get other clubs who might not have thought of him or might just get his name out there with interest. This is something that a lot of agents do. It's something that we know happens. It's common for it to happen. It might have been even what was happening with Faku. We don't know. We never really got confirmation on that. But you can see how things are spread quickly and how false information is
No,
spread
no,
quickly.
no. It could be, and I do want to say it could be true on their end.
Right.
You see, like I said, it could be true on their end, as in like they got a lead,
Yeah.
because there's people like people think, okay, you're a journalist, you have to search for the news, and nowadays they give you nuggets. And I'm going to mention that, typically it's either the agent, it's either because you talk to the players, it's either because you have a friend of a friend that talks to a player, and it's like a kind of like a broken phone, and in this scenario, because they're mentioning amounts, 10 million, how do they know River wants 10 million, a minimum of 10 million bucks, so that could be the agent too. That could be somebody within the club that has told them, hey, River, this is what River wants, but not necessarily, based on our side. When they mention Orlando City, like John said, we're going to be on the loop of a lot of rumors, because they know first and foremost, Facu Torres is in Palmeiras now. So there is a huge need of somebody with mm, to become, the second face of the club, essentially. And we're a club that's right now making, they just got like, I don't know how many $1 million right now in the bank account, right? And they know this, and so they're going to put us out there, because they want Solari to come to the MLS, and it's just part of the game. But the club, I do want to say, the club denied this rumor wholeheartedly. So
So you can all stop watching your Solari highlight reels and getting
yeah,
excited because
I had it ready just in case.
this one's already been squashed. So far we are 0 for 0.
Zero for three.
Everything that has been talked about in the last few
Zero
weeks,
for three.
right now, nothing is real. Nothing is. Maybe the only thing that was real was the Zendejas
This and they
bid
has.
that went nowhere anyway. But it does show that things are happening. I don't want people to be discouraged. I know there's a lot of like, what are we gonna do? What's happening? I think, like how we say in the actual season, Luis, we gotta like all season of 24. We said, hey, it's not good, but have faith in Oscar. He's gonna pull it around. You know, I think we have to have the same conversation about Ricardo, and everybody else is they're doing their job. We just got to have patience, and we got to have faith that by the time the season starts, we're going to have a really good looking team on the field. And they haven't let us down
Right.
in the years before. So history will tell you that we might not have got it sorted yet, but they will get it sorted by the time. Maybe not the beginning of the season. Like we have seen other years that players come in, a few weeks into the actual season. That can happen. But sometimes in order to get the right player, it just takes a little bit more time. One of the things also I posted over the kind of holiday period, Luis, was just giving people like an idea of the amount of process and time and steps that it takes to get in a new signing, because a lot of time you think like, oh, it'll just, it happens. Now this is like basic steps to sign a player if you're a regular league. This doesn't even include all the hoops and like whatever else you got to do because we're MLS and the crazy roster rules and the way that it works here. So, you got to scout the player, you got to submit an initial bid, which then opens up a conversation. You got to negotiate with the club on that price, that transfer deal. Then you got to talk to the player and negotiate with them on their contract. And also you got to talk to the agent and negotiate with the agent on what the agent wants. And that
They get a
also,
commission too.
yeah, that can mess things up. And that can, I think that was the whole Facu thing, was like the agent probably wanted something better out of Palmeiras and then tried to ship him to Mexico and it didn't work out, whatever. Like, we don't know, but it kind of looked like that. Then you got to do the player medical. You got to get their work permit. You got to actually sign the player. You got to do all the media. Like, you got to get all the pictures and all
The
the videos and get
videos.
all that ready.
Yeah.
And then finally, you're actually able to announce the player. Now, Orlando City does a very good job of
Very good
not
job.
telling us anything. Like
I mean,
really, like we get a little bit here and there, but most fans we're left in the dark, right?
yeah,
And so
they
what we're
deserve the right too.
yeah, and like
I think there are
that's
clubs
what
that are like there are clubs that like within the MLS that are that they handle their communications and their transfers in a certain way. Orlando's different, and they deserve that right too. But they've always been this way, so it shouldn't be a surprise.
yeah, and that's why most of what we hear is coming from the other end of the source. So it's
Hmm.
coming from South American teams that we're
Correct.
potentially buying from or selling to, or European teams that we're buying from or selling to, right? So we never hear it really unless we've communicated directly with the club. We don't hear them coming from our side, from the MLS side. So often we're not going to hear about these players until it gets very close to something really, really happening and we get more of an idea, okay, like this is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think this just to talk about saying there's steps and there's processes. Now, every time something goes wrong, you got to, not, you're not going to scout them again because you probably got a whole list, but you got to go back to step two. You got to go submit a bid, discuss with the clubs. Is this going to work? Is this not? So it can take a while. And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to make excuses
No,
for the
plus
club.
the timing was weird too because the MLS is becoming so bulky when it comes to schedule. The
Yeah.
league is lasting too damn long.
Yeah, and we've
So
never gone this far, so
correct.
it was, like, the least amount of time from the end of the season
Right.
to the beginning of preseason, so I
So
think that
so
that doesn't help people's,
so you have
transfer
to understand the
anxiety.
communications team have a life, right? And also the front office has family and they got probably a planned vacation. We don't know, right? And so they gotta travel, they gotta wrap the presents, they gotta get the tree ready. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So it was a bad timing in the event that we made it so far, conference final. It dragged out so much. It's, I mean, I have a feeling, just kind of like what you put right there, patience you must learn. They're cooking something, and it's going to be a player that's going to make it. Players are going to make immediate impact because
yeah,
a base and a core they already have. You know, Wilder Cartagena, for example, it's going to represent, and I do want to say this. Thank you to Alonso for the info. Um, is he's going to represent Orlando City in the 2025 MLS Media Day in Miami at the end of the month. So he's definitely staying. You know what I mean? We got that.
yeah,
But definitely, it's going to happen. We just gotta
yeah.
understand, how the timing has been this year. It's been a little off because imagine if Orlando would have won the championship. I mean, it's probably we wouldn't have any news probably
Yeah,
past.
yeah. Well, like you said, don't underestimate that the office really shuts down for a couple of weeks, which they should do because
Yeah, they
that's
should.
the
I
only
mean,
time of year they get, and that off season is getting shorter and shorter, so they have very little time to really, have that actual time like we all do with our families.
and the pride, like the pride didn't even have a time to celebrate the shield.
Yep.
They didn't get the time. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, you're
So
saying about no news, like we're not hearing anything from the Pride side, and that's because it's so far away for preseason for them, and they won everything. So it's like, is there really going to be much news?
right,
The team is ready to go. Obviously, because the Faku sale happened so early,
yeah,
that gets people in the mood of like, yo, things are happening. Okay, who's coming in? What's happening next? But in my opinion, you always want to sell early in the window, and then you want to take your time and pick the right player
right.
and get them in, of course, for the season and get them in early so they have time. But you don't want to just rush and sign the first guy out of a panic of like, oh, we don't have a player.
No, you have to
So
understand within signing players too, John. There are players that you sign that may not pan out the way you wanted to, and there are players that take a season to get ready.
yeah,
And it has happened to us. Ramiro Enrique, when he first got signed, he wasn't a player that made a huge immediate impact, but look how impactful he has been so far. Same with Angulo, same with Ojeda. At some point with Jansen first came in, boom, it was an immediate impact right there and then. And he came from an unknown team. basically. Cartagena coming in, immediate impact. So I think the club has a way of picking what's going to fit. And plus, Oscar is going to be still commanding the ship. So, I mean, it's. And not only that, Oscar had also a big family event, which I don't know if I should say it or not, but he had a wedding they had to attend to. It was a very important wedding in Colombia. So I mean, you have to understand. These are humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they gotta do certain things that we all do too on our holiday.
for sure. Do you want to read some comments before
Sure,
we
let's read some
move
comments
on?
real quick. So thank you so much for your support. It says uh started from the bottom, now the whole team MF here. Thank you, Stream Jesus. David Albury, what do you think is the most important position to get this off season to keep us moving in the right direction as a club? I have this. I don't know if you want to answer that, John, right here. Look, I have what Orlando City UK did.
Yeah, the depth chart. I mean, I think really from what we've seen of the Zendejas, you know, that being the only thing we have to go off,
We
that
need
to
a
me
winger.
that to me says that they're going to keep Ojeda in the 10. That's the biggest question. Is it's not so much what's the most important position, it's what are you doing with Ojeda? If Ojeda's going to go to the wing, then it's the 10 for
Yeah,
sure. If you're going to keep Ojeda in that number 10 position, keep him in central attacking mid, then it's the right wing or the left wing. Angulo could really play either side, in my opinion, but probably better on the left wing.
yeah.
So that's a huge thing. We've also talked about Enrique potentially playing left wing as an option. I know, Luis, you're keen for us to get a striker in. I think they're just gonna wait on Duncan and just hope that he's gonna have a quick recovery from surgery.
If they're
I think
if they're
he'll miss
gonna
the
do
first
like
couple months, but that's in the long MLS season. It's
yeah,
it's not the end of the world if we got to play Enrique or someone else up there for the beginning of the year.
if they're gonna do that, they need a winger, somebody that could play both flanks. Angulo
Yeah,
could play both flanks, left and right. Ojeda can play left and right. So they need a third winger that could play left and right, and it can also be a second striker.
that would be great.
Now, because you have to understand, Maguire is not gonna be with us for the beginning of the season, and then Muriel is more of a 10, and then you have just Ramiro.
Yeah.
So the order here in central attacking midfielder would be Ojeda, Lo, Muriel, and then Lodero, essentially.
And I think
And
also we definitely need some D mid
right,
backups for
we
sure. 100%. Like that is a
right,
giant, we got Colin Gusky, who just got promoted, but
yeah,
he should be like fifth string
and
on the
Gervais
D mid
too.
chart.
Gervais, we
Yeah.
don't know if Gervais is
We
going to
gotta
stay with us.
we don't know what's gonna be happening with these draft picks. My guess is they're gonna go straight to OCB if we sign them at all. We talked about the fact that low end draft picks are just not it. You got to be a top like 10 draft pick, in my opinion, to really make an impact in a first team. So I don't know if any of those guys are going to be able to do that. So I think we need two defensive midfielders minimum just to back up for for Cartagena and Arujo. So that is a big issue. I think the back line is probably fine. You could just run it back with the same players. A lot of people would like another left back. I agree. We should have another left back, but remember, Kyle Smith can fill in there reasonably well. So maybe that's what they're thinking.
and
Uh,
and and it's time
in
to
terms of
see.
big signings, it's going to be a winger by the
Yeah,
looks of it.
a big signing is going to have to be. I mean, you have to maintain some sort of tactical order, and already you're missing piece in your attack right now. It's literally where Faku was.
Yeah.
So if you bring a winger that it's a good age with a lot of upside, that it's not like overpaying for the winger, that it's able to probably speak the same language as your striker, your 10, and your left winger. I think that's going to be a plug and play for Facu Torres. Obviously, it may not be the name I mean, Facu Torres was not a name recognizable DP anyways. But has to sync and click, right? Now, when it comes to a defensive mid, I true believe, depending on what they feel they're going to do with Gusk or and Gervais, I do feel like they need to get another, kind of what Bruseth was going to be. You know what I mean? But I have a player. Um, I don't know if he's under. He's right now playing with Belgrano in Argentina. I'm a little biased here. He's Peruvian. He knows Pedro very well. He is he's crazy good. He's like really good. I think if he plays in the MLS, he would kill it. He's he right now he played in Alianza Lima before, and I think he played in he could play the left and he could play the right. Now, I mean, he has a lot of upside. 26 years old. Right now playing in Belgrano, pretty good team over there right now. So, we'll see. 2.5 million right now is this is what transfer market says that he's worth. I mean, there's going to be players like that you just have to be plug and play players. But I do believe that we need depth on the wing. David Albury, I think we need a right winger most. Luis and Jonathan Cojeda should move there. But he played great as a center attacking midfielder, and I don't see any reason to risk moving to a different position. MLS is better than Liga MX. Facundo Torres. They can keep trying to sell their imaginary Messi for as much as they want. Ojeda on the wing wouldn't be bad. He did do a good job at central attacking midfielder, but a true 10 would be nice. And maybe a center back would be nice since Heine got poached. True.
Uh, I
Also,
I honestly think it would work either way. I think there's a lot of argument what you said about keeping Ojeda in the 10 because he started to really show a lot in
yeah,
that position
he was,
last
he was
year.
phenomenal.
I also think the argument of keeping him there is he's not the fastest winger.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's more like Jack Grealish would play on the wing,
Yeah,
right? Like he's tricky and he can go around a guy and he can play a great ball, but he's not like a 1v1 kind of winger and like well he'll just take somebody on. So I think there's more merit probably in keeping Ojeda in the 10 position and going out and finding that Faku replacement. And like we said, that's from what we've seen with this potential Zendejas bid seems like what the club is going to do. Like Oscar has found something there with Ojeda in the 10, and
yeah,
we know that he likes to keep that consistency.
yeah. Because he said
So
it's all about connections.
yeah, like I
So
wouldn't be mad if they went and got a 10, like we'll talk about in a minute, with a certain one that Luis would love to get in. And if that did happen, then you would have to move Ojeda to the wing. But definitely some credit to say that he really showed that he can be our 10, in my opinion.
Facundo Torres says, I also think Dagerdan could actually do a great job at right wing. He played everywhere in his previous club. Yeah, he did. He scored like I think 12 goals, I believe. Joshua
Yeah.
Tall, I hope we get a replacement for Facu soon. Some trying to be patient, but want some news, says Salty H2O. Thank you so much. Banjo, how are you, my friend? Thank you for he's from our Discord, so thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Jeffrey O, crazy idea. Bring Tito's back to the stadium and we need a song. Maybe Dreams by the Cranberries. There you go. Thanks. Our current players need to step up more as well. True. I mean, I think Orlando this year, they need to have not a crappy start of the season. And I think the fans would be happy for back to back wins at home.
We got a few more comments. Oh no, you
Yep.
did them all. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. How many people we got watching at the moment, Luis?
Well, about 120 people. So thank you so much. So,
Awesome. If you are one of those people watching on YouTube, please go ahead and like the video. If you're there on watching us on X, go ahead and like and repost as well. Like I said, we're gonna ask you guys a lot for that this year because it really helps us get out and get more people
yeah.
involved.
And also, after the live is over, if you comment on the video, so if you're watching this post and you say, hey, I want to ask Luis this, or I want to ask John this, like every comment help us out for
Yeah.
the algorithm to promote that video and to put it out there for more people to comment. So
Any of our social platforms, if you
yeah,
guys ask us questions, we will try, and either myself or Luis will
yeah.
reply to you. If it's on the YouTube comments, if it's on Facebook,
I
if
have
it's
some
on
Facebook
Blue
questions.
Sky. Yes, I did put out like an ask me anything. So that's kind of where we're at this point. But first, Luis, do you want to talk about your dreams coming true that you hope?
Well, I mean, it's really not.
Luis's boy. I know you
So
really want
so
him to come.
so so obviously everybody has heard the news that James Rodriguez is not longer a Rayo Vallecano player. He's pretty much asked for his release. Now, obviously, everybody knows that he is a massive player. You know, I think Colombia had a great Copa America because he really carried the team. I mean, he really has turned back. He's 33, so it's really not like super old, but it's a player that could still probably have four, 3 or 4 more seasons in him. That could definitely shine. I mean, Joao Paulo, I think it's a little older than him, and he played pretty well with Seattle. You have some of the people from New England as well, Carlos Hill and things like that. So he's definitely a name recognizable player. It's a player that's going to bring new eyes into the team, for sure. This is a terrible AI image of James. Yeah, you're completely right. Uh, blame what's his name, Elon Musk, for that, not me. but anyways, I think I mean, if he's available and it makes sense for Orlando, I don't see it would be a bad signing. Again, I wouldn't pay the world for him. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
would definitely. I mean, it would be cool to, like, if we get a winger and we get him, maybe he can have Lodera turn it around and Lodera can go back to be what he used to be. I don't know. Lodera, I mean, Muriel, find that connection. He's definitely going to bring a lot of eyes into the squad, for sure. I kind of have a feeling he could definitely make an immediate impact in the team, especially because he has something to prove. And we've had a lot of, Orlando City has had a lot of success of bringing players that were kind of on the outs, and then having a massive impact in the team. Like one of them was Nani. Nani
Yeah.
wasn't kind of finding his groove in Europe. Boom, came to Orlando. He became the leader that we were looking for. All the massive moments Nani provided for us. Kaká as well, earlier on, and then recently Alexandre Pato as well with the U.S. Open Cup run. You know what I mean? So this, and Oscar has this way of kind of kind of kind of pushing and making it work, for these players. I think it would be, and there's a massive Colombian community, and I know people are overlooking that and saying, that doesn't matter, but I think I think it would be a good signing. I mean, it wouldn't be the only signing I make for sure, but I think it would be a signing that's going to be like, oh, okay, Orlando, all right, it's going to put us more of on the talk of the town type of thing. So I don't know. What are your thoughts there, John? I mean, I just threw the question out there. There's no rumor. The club is not going for James. This is no, like, I was just mentioning it because a colleague, Pipe Sierra, which I want to say hello to him too, from Red Caracol, is a really big outlet over there in Colombia. He told me, he mentioned that he's a free agent now, like Orlando City, Colombians, all that stuff. You have a Colombian coach, why not? I mean, so I don't know. What are your thoughts there, man?
I think there's a lot of positives of bringing in James. Like, I think definitely the Colombian connection to everybody that we have in Orlando that is Colombia, I think would be huge. I think
Yeah,
we haven't had a player of that level since really Nani left.
yeah,
So I think that that is big pluses. But I'm more on the negative side, mainly because I just think he's been a bit of a journeyman in the last like
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like he was playing for Real Madrid up until the end of 2020. Since then, he went to Everton. It didn't work out. Then he went to
At
Al
all.
Rayan. Didn't work out. He's gone to Olympiacos. Didn't work out. Went to Sao Paulo. Didn't work out. Like he's been scoring very few goals, and like I know he's mainly an assister, but he's been just jumping from club to club every single year. I just don't know what he's trying to do with that. And I also think that when he plays for Colombia, yeah, he look it's like the Shaqiri thing. You know, Shaqiri play for Switzerland and look awesome, but then he sucked for the Fire. And I think that's the same thing with James Rodriguez. I think when he plays for Colombia, he looks like really good and he has had like a resurgence playing for Colombia recently. But then if you look at how he's playing for like Sao Paulo and Real Vallecano, it's just it's not the same. Like it's not the same. So my other concern with him is just injuries, dude. Like he's spent a lot of his career just getting these like, you know, constant injuries where he's out for 4 or 5 games and he's out for another 8 or 9 games, you know, then he's out for another 3 or 4 games. And I think at the age of 33, it's just a little bit too much to ask for him. And we've kind of got our quota of guys that are aging and not really contributing to the squad. And my fear would be if we signed him, that yes, he could be awesome, but also he could be another one of those guys that just isn't doing it for us anymore. I think, like I said, for Colombia, he's awesome. And I know that he's got massive amounts of skill. I'm just concerned about where he is at in his career. And if you look at his history recently, he's just, in my opinion, not going to be able to do it in MLS anymore. Personally,
He, I disagree a little bit because the teams that you mentioned do not have, and I know this is gonna sound so cocky what I'm about to say, but the MLS is a superior league when it comes to infrastructure, and especially Orlando City has been known for revitalizing careers. Now, I think what James has been lacking is an opportunity to lead. And obviously, I mean, you want to go to Olympiacos, it's a freaking, I mean, I know it's Greece and they have great food, but you don't speak the language, dude. You know what I mean? So here, I feel he's going to feel more like he's like in his backyard. You have Angulo, you have, you know, all these Latin American players. And we were missing that veteran voice too, you know, that it's able to kind of put games away, you know, or at least generate a play that's going to have Ramiro Enrique score of a header, you know, 90th minute, you know what I mean? And I feel like Orlando's being good controlling injuries. Like what they did with Pato was extending his lifespan 3 years. Like I thought that was not possible. Be honest with you, when I first heard Pato was signing for Orlando City, I was like, "What are they doing?" You know what I mean? Like he's not he's a retired. He's already he should be retiring right now.
yeah,
But I mean, he had 3 more years now. I feel James is in a better physical shape. Yes, he had some injuries, and he just needs a new something to fight for. You know what I mean? Like a new beginning. You know what I mean? Like a new that one last opportunity. You know, and if Orlando, let's say, does a year contract for Gam, you know what I mean? For
yeah.
Gam,
I think for that,
you know what I
totally.
mean?
I think going all in on like 3 years as him as a DP
Of course
could be
not.
a mistake. If we
Yeah,
can bring him in like we did Nico
of
on like
course.
a hey, you're
Right,
on a TAM deal and we'll give you
right.
a year and we'll see how it goes and if you can play enough, I'm all in for that. I'm
I agree with
all
you
in for
there, one
that.
hundred and ten
Yeah.
percent.
I just don't want to put all our eggs in the James
Right, you don't want to make the
basket.
same mistake that they made with Muriel, pretty much.
100%.
One hundred
And
and ten percent.
I've got flashbacks of the last 30 something Colombian we signed. So, but also, I think you're right about the fact that Oscar gets the most out of these guys and that we could extend his life a little bit like that. I do see that. I think that that's very interesting. I would love the fact that a lot of Colombians would suddenly care
The
about Orlando City.
merchandise. for
like
Orlando
or
City.
like like Colombians here that probably don't watch us would suddenly watch us. So I think that is big. Um, I also just don't know if the club's gonna do it. You know what I mean? I think it is interesting, and I think there's a lot of reasons to do it, but I genuinely think they're gonna go for somebody younger,
Yeah, I
in my
mean, if you're
opinion.
looking for a 10, like a Carlos Hill, like a Joao Paulo, when he first got to Seattle, like that's James
Yeah,
right now. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So,
and like we said, if they're gonna keep Ojeda in the 10,
right.
we're really
So
not gonna go for him.
it
So
has to make sense. Like I will love the move
yeah,
personally.
yeah,
But that's just my
I
opinion.
can see a lot of pluses to it.
Right.
I gotta, that's why we're here, Luis. We
Right.
gotta have balance,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's
So I would love the move personally, but it
Yeah,
has to make sense for the club.
but I'm
Like
always afraid of signing old men, so that's on me.
no, no. I mean, it has to make sense for the club, like you said. I mean, I'm not saying they should pay 10 million for this player. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not saying to even spend
on a Pato type deal,
right
hell yeah, any day of
on
the
a
week.
Pato type deal on
Yeah,
like a maybe a year contract
yeah,
with like hey, for this amount of goals you get this much more money.
right.
With objectives, you give him a chance, an opportunity. He will be playing with a Colombian coach, with a Colombian winger on the left, with the Peruvian national team goalkeeper. So these are people that he knows, like he's played against and has played with.
Yeah,
So I think it will make sense, but it has to make sense for the club. Like I agree with you in the fact that Orlando should now go crazy on paying a massive amount of money for James Rodriguez for sure.
yeah.
But I do feel like it would be a it would be a win. It would be an investment that if it's for a year, it could definitely pay by itself with all the jersey sales that Orlando. I mean, Orlando's definitely going to be in the All Star game. I mean, they're going to invite him. I mean, if Shakir went to the All Star game, you know what I mean. I think James could go
Yeah.
to the All Star game, man.
Do you have some questions from Facebook that people have wanted to ask
Yeah,
us?
so we have from Instagram. So
Instagram. Right.
says here, Danny Man 373 says, let me turn that off real quick here. Um, who do you guys think Orlando might sign? Well, I don't know. We don't know. Uh,
I think we're gonna sign some like 24 to 27-year-old winger. That's what I think we're gonna
yeah,
sign,
I
and
think I
probably
think
South American, like it's someone in the Zendejas zone.
Anthony
That type of player.
Anthony Silva 09. Talk about James playing time in Brazil. Yeah, I know. John just brought it up. Yeah, he didn't have a good time in Brazil for sure.
Yeah, and that for me would have been like if he'd gone to Sao Paulo and it worked. Like that seems like why didn't that one work? The other clubs, I'm like, okay, I don't know what you were doing going to like Olympiacos or whatever, but that one screamed like, whoa, why didn't it work in Sao Paulo?
I feel it didn't work in Sao Paulo because the I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. Maybe the backpack was too heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, because playing for Sao Paulo means a massive club in Brazil and not making it. It could definitely take its toll. And mentally as well. And he over there they don't control the clubs don't control the narrative. They're very cutthroat. The fans are like they love you one time and then they hate you the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
Colombian Corn, it says, thank you, Colombian Corn. Will average regular season attendance go up for Soccer City USA Orlando in 2025?
I think so.
I think so.
I think that a lot of the season attendance, a lot of what I would call like the casual flex people, and that's like where the attendance we always going to get like 15 to 20,000, I think, regardless. But the 15 to 25,000, that 10,000 people, they will come when they feel like it's exciting all the time. And if we start the season badly like we did last year,
Yeah.
those people that they'll come at the beginning for the first 2 or 3 games, and then they'll stop coming because they'll go, they're boring to watch. I don't want to. I don't. It's not on my agenda right now. Your people who are there every week are going to be there every week. So if we start well and we continue well, that attendance is going to keep growing. And if we have a really good season, you're looking at the second half of the season of like multiple sellouts. Like I do think that will happen. We just need to get the ball rolling and get the excitement going. I mean, look at what happened with the Magic this year. That's what I'm talking about. Like the Magic started so well, it's been going so well, and the ball just, and they're getting massive games, lots of people there. So that's what we need to see in order for attendance to be better than this year. Is we need to start well, and we need to keep, most importantly, Luis, goals. Like we need to see goals at
Goals.
home. People are at the end of the day paying to be entertained. So if the first 2 months we get killed like we did last year, and there's no goals, those casuals or those
Yeah,
people that are on the fringe,
110%.
or the people who have season tickets but don't go to every game, are just not going to go because they're going
Yeah.
to say, I'll come back when you guys have figured it out.
Yeah, and people are, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. I totally agree. Goals, and that's what I'm saying. We got Ramiro Enrique. Maybe getting another nine that's gonna replace
Yeah.
Duncan until he comes back. Maybe a experienced player. Rui Diaz is available. That knows already Nico Lodero. You have James. He could be playing in CAM, and then you have Ojeda on the right. So there's a lot of options. Do we think Duncan could fill the Facu departures as JB Canada 85?
In terms of goals, like replacement, because obviously a different position, I do have a lot of faith in Duncan this year. I think that he's very settled. I don't think that we've had zero rumors of anybody coming in for
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that now he's getting paid what he believes he's getting should be paid. I think also that's like warned a lot of people off. Like he's no longer a cheap option. I think he's gonna get his head down and work really hard on coming back from injury. And once that happens, I think we're going to see, hopefully, the Duncan that we saw, you know, back in 23 and at the beginning of 24, where he was just being that number 9 that we need him to be, being the guy that can put the ball in the back of the net week in, week out. And I think the front office, I think they have a lot of faith in him being that guy, Luis. And I think that's why we're not going to see them bring another 9 in, because they believe that Duncan can be that star number 9 that we want him to be, or Enrique can be, because we saw a lot from Enrique too. So between the two of them, I think they believe that there's enough there to get one of them going or both of them going most of the time.
yeah. I mean, I feel that you're right. I think what Duncan needs to go. Duncan will go back to be kind of the darling of Orlando City if he starts scoring goals in a constant basis. And then
Yeah,
maybe Ramiro could be used as a winger. Those are the options, but at the moment he's going to be missing the beginning of the season. So I mean, are we ready to put all that strain into Ramiro? You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a lot.
It's quite a lot. Are we ready to put that strain on Jacqueline? Well, why are you laughing?
Look,
I'm just joking, man.
I hope Jack Lang could show me more than he did this year, because I lost a lot of faith in Jacqueline in 2024. I gotta say, and
Now,
I hope he can contribute.
all these veteran names that we're mentioning, I think John and I, the one thing that we do agree on is that we cannot pull the Muriel. You know what I mean? These have to be immediate impact players that we're signing to boost the team because we're short, and they gotta just go.
Yeah,
Um, and we should not be just giving away the bank. I will give away the bank for a Solari. I will probably go for 10 million or 9 million. You know,
Yeah.
uh, 23 years old, 10 goals, 5 assists in River Plate, massive club. I mean that is attractive in itself. Um, but you have to understand, it's going to take, you know, what guarantees the Solari makes it to the MLS and kills it, like Diego Rossi or like Hani Mukhtar.
Yeah.
He could go dead in the water too. You know what I
I think
mean?
we talked about before that last offseason we didn't really get it right.
Yeah,
Muriel did not
didn't pan out
produce
the way.
like we
Yeah,
thought he would.
yeah, hundred
Ladero
percent.
did okay, but not like nowhere near what he was doing at Seattle before. Not what we expected from a player of that pedigree. And then Brecalo is another one that like kind of got in the team, but also didn't really. So this window, I still have a lot of faith in our front office, but they are now, this is for their jobs. Like this window is for their jobs. Ricardo, Luis Muzi, Oscar, all of their contracts expire at the end of this year. And I know a lot of people would like to see Oscar move on, and we're not going to go down that road. But
No, I don't
really,
want to go to that road.
really, this is the year, and not just Oscar, for the other two as well, because they need to get this window right. They need to get this team starting the year well with exciting soccer and lots of goals, or else we're going to end up in the same situation we were last year, and we're going to be chasing the season. We can't do that again. So a big part of starting the year well is getting the transfer window right this year. Now, like we said before, most of the time their transfers have been really good. We've had a lot of great players in.
Yeah,
I would say like at least 70-80% hit
yeah.
ratio on which is, and they are regarded around the league as a very
As a
good front
very well team.
office, a
Yeah,
very good front office and a
very
good
good.
combination with Oscar. But this is do or die now. I genuinely think this version of Orlando City, this is the last year that we will see this whole version of the team. I think if it doesn't work out this year, the club might be like, okay, we're going to move on from Oscar and we're going to move on from Luis and we're going to move on from Ricardo. And if they do that, then you're going to look at like all the rest of the, guys like Kyle Smith are going to go. Guys like, Wilder
Pedro may be
would
going.
go. Pedro, like all of these guys that were Oscars and Ricardo's and Luis's team that they have built might also go out the window when you bring in a new, sporting director, whatever, new head coach. Really, I think this is the last year to see this Orlando City. And if we don't win it this year, I think they will, let's say, start over completely. Or
Yeah,
we have to do very, very well. Like even making the Eastern Conference Finals this year might not be enough, Luis.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it's also a matter of opening up the wallet.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
I feel
hoping that
like
we're gonna see that.
I think that and it's probably that's what they're making us wait this long. I think they should go and try to. I mean, all the other teams are doing it. You're talking about in our West, Portland talking about Seattle talking about Marcus Rashford. That's a new rumor that I saw. I'm like, what? Seattle going for Marcus Rashford?
No,
What
no,
the?
that let's just
Then
say right now that is
then
complete
then,
horse.
then we,
That
then we should go for Jack Grealish. You know what I'm
That's
talking about?
massive BS. There's no
We
way
should go for
Marcus Rashford is ever going to. He's 26 years old, so let's just say that
bring
that
Jack. Bring
that
Jack
that is
here,
some full on BS in my opinion.
John. Let's
Jack
bring Jack
Grealish
here.
could happen.
Yeah,
That could
let's
happen.
bring
Jack
Jack
Grealish
here.
can't play at all anymore apparently. So he went to Man City and Pep killed his vibe.
Yeah.
So
So
maybe now he's ready. That is one I could see coming to MLS.
like right now we have a base, like we have a core group of players like LA Galaxy right now before them getting Pencil
Yeah,
and Peck. We need that.
yeah.
It's going to be required for us to open up the wallet, maybe paying off Muriel, you know,
Mm.
and making a couple of moves here and there, but we need that. We already have the core. We
Yeah.
just gotta add pieces that are gonna make immediate impact, because that was the key for the Galaxy. If these are players that came in, boom,
Yeah. I
immediate
mean,
impact.
the teams that win MLS Cup, you got to hit on those three
Yeah,
DPs.
hit on those three
And I
DP.
think that's what we saw is like,
Yeah.
and I think right now one of the DPs is not hitting, and unless we see significant improvement from Muriel, I'm not confident he is going to be the guy that we need to be. It seems to me like they're not going to get rid of him. They're not going to move him on. I think that would have been come out at the end of the year. I think they would have, like how we saw Faku go. I think you would have seen news about Muriel going or being bought down. But even then, I don't think we could buy him down. I think we're just kind of stuck with him.
I have info on that. I didn't put it in as rumors or nothing, because it's far fetched. But this is what is coming from Colombia. Junior, the Barranquilla, which are the team of his childhood team, wants him. Carlos Baca, former Villarreal, has played there. That's his club. You know what I mean? The problem is Junior doesn't have the money to pay Muriel. So the only way Muriel will be able to be poached by a Colombian team or go back to his country would be either he rescinds that money and says, "Hey, let's just make me a free agent. I don't want the money anymore. You can keep it. You don't have to pay me." You know what I mean? And I want to be a free agent and sign for Junior because I love my club, and he's gonna sign for like super cheap over there, and then he's gonna just enjoy the rest of his life there. That is far fetched because, as people want to get paid. You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
Junior doesn't have the money to pay, but there is an interest. There's a huge interest. The fans there say, "Bring back Muriel, bring back Muriel." Like I've seen it online. Bring him back. He's played a tournament, a tournament for charity over there in Colombia, with a team called Gorditos FC, which means the Fat Boys FC.
That's my nickname,
Yeah,
Gordo,
yeah,
Gordito.
yeah, and he he killed it. Apparently, he did really well. Now he does charity there. He's a philanthropist there. I feel he feels like that's more of his vibe. But the problem is that club cannot pay him. I mean, they don't have the means of paying him.
Yeah. And
So
no offense to him, but who is gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's yeah. I think the best we can hope for is that Oscar and the guys get him
right,
firing, like get him really fit in preseason
right, but
and
like
do what you said earlier and really bring the best out of him
correct.
and we see a resurgence of Muriel. That and I think even that resurgence, like if he gets 10 assists and like 5 goals in the season, I would be delighted with that.
Delighted.
And that's not that for what we're
Yeah,
paying him, that's not enough.
that's not enough. Yeah,
So
I completely agree with you
I've
on that.
kind of resided to the fact that we're gonna have him, and we just gotta hope we can get something out of him.
Unless again he wants to walk away, and
Yeah, but
we'll be
who's he?
walking, and that percentage of a player walking away, it almost doesn't happen. It-
Yeah,
it's like it's
he
like
didn't make that much money in his career where
right,
he's like, I'm gonna walk away from 4 million,
right. It's
five
like me,
million.
right. It's
No,
like asking people, would you
yeah,
walk away for $100,000 to go play in your childhood team?
yeah.
So
I think if you're Messi, sure, but
yeah, but I
not
mean,
not
talking
Luis
about
Muriel, and
right,
even Messi didn't do it. So
right. I mean,
I always think also there's
Messi could,
always going to be rumors about a player going back to his childhood club. It's like the most obvious rumor you could generate yourself.
yeah.
So
I mean, this is one of the reasons why, personally, myself as a Barca supporter, I did not. Messi had all the opportunity to play for free for Barcelona. Literally, he had the chance to play for free,
yeah,
and he didn't want to.
yeah, I remember that. It was like, yo,
And
you
he
can
went to
go back.
PSG, and look how that turned out.
Yeah.
So what about Juan Quintero? So Juan Quintero right now is being targeted. He's in Racing in Argentina. He's a Copa Sudamericana champions. Um, he is in talks with America de Cali right now, and I believe he's going to be signing. So he's going to be going back to his country, and he's a free agent right now. Now, it would be great to have Juan Quintero. The problem with Juan Quintero, and I will say, is his fitness. And I don't think for the MLS is a very physical league, as you guys can see. You gotta be fit. You cannot. You got in like the travel, the terrain, like different pitches. Like you gotta be. Like it's a very physical league. Like a lot of the Peruvian players, uh, um, for example, that play for Orlando City, you look at a before and after picture. Like you look at a Wilder picture from a year before he came to Orlando, you're gonna see him super like scrawny looking. Like you see him now, dude's like freaking beast. Because over here, they work on the physical aspect. They do gym, they have gym routines, you know, physios and food and nutrition and all that stuff, which is not what you get in other countries like down south. So same with Pedro. I go look at pictures of Pedro Gales in 2015. Like he's skinnier. Like he even looks a little shorter. Like so it's just this league is super physical, and you gotta be ready. Yeah, this is what just not consistent. Says Salty H2O. There are moments where he played really well last season. Says Salty H2O for Muriel. Facundo Torres, Oscar in, Oscar in, Oscar in. Thank you. It says, I recently thought of Alexander Callens and Joshua Tall. Well, he's playing in Greece, um, and he's playing in AEK Athens, and he's doing pretty well there. Raul Ruidiaz will be a great get. Yeah, but for the right money. You don't want to right now. Raul Ruidiaz is eligible to have his citizenship, so he will be categorized as an American citizen. So it's he's definitely not gonna take a DP spot. If we poach Ruiz, he's not gonna cost a DP slot. It will be kind of like with Muriel with Lodero, John.
Yeah. And I think we know probably what we're going to be looking for is probably a
No,
DP
well,
winger. That's what we're going to see. And then, some U22s coming in probably to fill in those D mid roles. So anything that's like wildly out of that, I just don't, I wouldn't, have substance in it at the moment. I think what this period has shown us is that unless it's being reported out of an American source like Tom or like,
Gimme Sport or The
yeah,
Athletic,
no, or like a Merlot, like who's the CL
or
Merlot, like
like
he's
it's
pretty big. He's had some good ones recently for other clubs. So we just need to take everything we see with a pinch of salt because there's so much going around right now. I think a lot of people know that we sold Faku, and therefore that
yeah,
also helps in the like, oh, they've got money. Let's
they
put
got
them
money.
in the
Yeah,
rumor
let's put
mill.
yeah, let's put their name on
Um,
there.
but I think we're gonna see something happen. I imagine if not this week, next week, more rumors will come, and one of those rumors will probably be true, and then it'll start progressing. And hopefully we're going to get some players in here before preseason kicks off, Luis. But it's going to be an exciting few weeks. I am going to be going
Where you going?
down to the enemy stadium to watch USA versus Venezuela in a
Oh
few weeks.
yeah,
Yeah, so on the 18th, I will be down there at that terrible stadium in Fort Lauderdale to watch Venezuela
you're gonna be in
USA.
Vice City.
I'm gonna be down well close. And then don't forget on the 22nd, it is at our stadium at Inter and Co. USA versus Costa Rica.
I'll be there.
The Luis will be there covering. The squad just got announced. It's the January MLS squad, so it's all MLS guys.
Yeah, Kramaski's
In
there.
that squad, Duncan obviously didn't get a
Yeah,
call up, but
yeah,
I think it would have been maybe if he'd have
it
been
would have
fit.
been called up.
I
Yeah.
think it could, based on the other guys in there, I think he might have had a chance of getting called up on this roster. We'll see. We'll see what happens with USA and how they play in the next kind of friendlies as well. Outside of that, it's just going to be a lot of transfer speculation for us, and trying to figure out the right transfer news and what is going to be happening. But I'm excited. I think we just got to have a little bit more patience, and in the next few weeks, we're going to get our man and hopefully a few other pieces as well.
This is a time in which, like John said, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of like, people are yearning for news. We're going to do our due diligence to put any rumors out. Obviously, we're going to have this, streams like this one to kind of go over them and say if this is something that's trustworthy or, but we're going to put it out either way because people are yearning for the news. And again, there's really not a lot moving, so what we hear, and if it's from a verifiable source, even from down south, I will put it out. But just check us out on our social medias. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So anything else you want to add, John, before we go?
No, just once again, please go ahead and drop a like on this video if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that like, and also make sure you click on the notification button.
Yeah,
So
please.
anytime we go live or we drop a video, you guys will know and you can join us. And then if you're watching on X, please give us a like and a repost so other people can find this and they can get involved as well. Thank you all for being here and commenting and dropping your questions. If you have more questions that you want to ask us, we'll probably be doing a pod next Monday again. So if you have questions, save them up for then, or ask us in the week, and we will get back to you. But now is a great time for us to talk about all these things. It doesn't have to even be Orlando City related. If you just want to ask Luis, what his favorite Peruvian dish is, you can totally do that. If you want to
Yeah, for
ask,
sure.
if you want to ask me how to make Yorkshire puddings, I can tell you how to make Yorkshire pudding.
Hey.
So, we're a wealth of information
Yeah.
over here. I'm just kidding, but yeah, it doesn't even have to be soccer. Or if you want to just ask us about, Orlando Pride, for example, please go ahead and do that. We are probably going to have a podcast for Orlando Pride at some point when there is some news.
Right.
Right now, really not a lot is happening on the women's front. And I think when some big news comes out, we will get into it. Their schedule for Orlando Pride was released in the last hour or so. So that is some news. We do know when their games are going to be finally. So that is interesting. If you're going to watch Orlando Pride this year, go and look at that schedule, see what games you might want to come out to. But I think that's everything for me. The
No, no.
preseason is we just got to be patient, Luis. We got to be patient.
Yeah, well, I wanna thank everybody. About 140 people. Thank you for your support. We're gonna be putting out content for y'all. Even if it's pre-recorded. We're gonna be doing these live streams also often now that we're kind of back into our regular normal lives, John and I. So. Um, but like I said, just be patient. I think the club has something going, and it's gonna probably be disclosed fairly soon. Either way, I mean, vamos Orlando, right, guys? I mean, this is gonna be huge, a massive season coming up. A better start of the season for sure, hopefully, because we don't have Champions Cup. So I think the fans deserve a better start of the season for sure. And I do want to address something to my friends from the designated from Bob Ventimiglia from Designated Pundits, I believe. Is that is
Yeah.
yeah. He gave a rating of 6 out of 10 on the Hurricane kit. Sir, 6 out of 10? Come on,
He's
man.
not a fan.
It's the Hurricane, man. Hurricane kit. I know that it doesn't reach New York, but No, I'm just joking. No, no.
That's good.
No,
We're
I say hello to Bob. Bob's great.
That does remind me that I'm working on some preseason guests for us that we can get in,
Cool.
and we're also going to be going on different pods for some of the larger MLS pods that are out there covering the league. We're going to spend some time going on those, talking about Orlando City. So look for us on different pods, and also if
Yeah,
you are interested and you are a fan or you are a guest or something, and you want to talk to us or be on the show, reach out and we'll see
yeah.
if we can make it happen.
Yeah, same with the supporter groups. I do want to say, I mean, if they're watching, we would like to have somebody from the ILF, come in and talk about, their expectations of the season, and same with people from the Ruckus. And then I know that there's a couple of other groups that are forming as well. It'd be cool for them to have their say as well,
Yeah.
and see what they're all about.
And if you guys have any ideas for content that you want us to make or anything that you're like, hey, and this obviously gonna be really cool if you did this, let us know because
Yeah,
we
Instagram.
we are, open to ideas. I'm sure the news is going to start flowing and we're going to have plenty to talk about. But for right now, we got some time. So
Yeah, real quick before we go, let's read the last piece of comments real quick, and then we're closing. Joshua Tall, hopefully Brecalo has a bounce back here. JCB, someone's going to say Cartagena prior to MLS was a stick, not Rui Diaz. Our front line is going to be the size of the Smurfs, says JCB's 95. You're completely right there. Facundo Torres, I'll be there for the USA versus Costa Rica. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a great game. Vamos Orlando, says Victor Sanchez. See you 222-25 against Philly. There you go. Well, thank you guys for your support. Appreciate you guys. Thank you to John as well. And as always, vamos Orlando. Take care,
vamos,
guys.
Orlando.
Have a good one.